In this podcast episode, Douglas Murray discusses the recent conflict between Israel and Palestine and the rise of anti-Semitism. He begins by expressing his shock, horror, disappointment, and rage at the events that have unfolded. He criticizes the response of some people who quickly turned out on the streets to support the perpetrators of the terrorist acts. Murray argues that many people who claim to care about Palestinian lives do not actually care, as evidenced by the lack of protests for the suffering of Muslims in other parts of the world. Murray delves into the root causes of the anti-Israel sentiment, particularly within the Muslim world. He highlights the historical conflict between Jews and Muslims, including the beheading and massacre of Jews by Muhammad, the founder of Islam. Murray also points out that Islam claims to be the last revelation from God, and Muslims may feel threatened by the success and resilience of the Jewish people in Israel, which challenges their belief in being the recipients of the final revelation. The conversation then shifts to the popularity of the pro-Palestine cause among young people, including those who are not necessarily Muslims. Murray attributes this to a lack of education and indoctrination, where young people have been fed a distorted version of history that aligns with American racial justice narratives and anti-colonial perspectives. He argues that these young people have been manipulated into believing false accusations against Israel, such as the claim of genocide and comparisons to Nazis. Murray also addresses the issue of double standards applied to Israel. He questions the concept of proportionality in war, arguing that it is moronic to expect a country to fight a war with equal force when their goal is to win. He criticizes the United Nations for its bias against Israel and its failure to condemn Hamas massacres. The conversation continues with a discussion on anti-Semitism. Murray emphasizes that anti-Semitism is a shape-shifting virus that has taken different forms throughout history. He highlights the various reasons Jews have been hated, including their poverty, wealth, lack of integration, religion, race, statelessness, and the existence of Israel. Murray argues that anti-Semitism tells us more about the person who holds such views than about the Jews themselves. Murray then criticizes the lack of understanding and empathy in the West towards the hatred experienced in other parts of the world. He believes that people in the West apply a Western lens to judge issues that are not Western, and therefore, fail to grasp the true nature of the emotions involved. He also highlights the double standards and biases in Western societies when it comes to defending one's own state. While Israel is often criticized for its efforts to protect itself, European countries are praised for moving past borders and defense. The conversation then shifts to the topic of immigration and the failure of the UK government to address the issue effectively. Murray expresses his frustration with the lack of action in deporting individuals who support terrorist organizations like Hamas. He specifically mentions two individuals, Mohammed Salah and Mahrani, who he believes should be deported due to their involvement in extremist activities. Murray argues that the British public is right in wanting to deport such individuals and that the government should prioritize the safety and well-being of its citizens over liberal values. The podcast also touches on the issue of free speech and the recent controversy surrounding the Batley Grammar School case. Murray criticizes the capitulation of the teachers' union and the lack of support for the teacher who showed a cartoon of Prophet Muhammad in class. He believes that there are very few people in power who have the backbone to tackle these issues and that the fear of being labeled as far-right or Islamophobic prevents many from speaking out. Murray acknowledges the concerns raised by some about the potential rise of an unpleasant government if these issues are not addressed properly. However, he argues that the British public is being pushed beyond its endurance and that if political outlets fail to address their concerns, people will take matters into their own hands. He also criticizes the role of the BBC and the media in general, stating that they have lost touch with the general public and are incapable of representing their views. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe.